This is the Volvo XC60, which is going to cost you 68,800 euros. But if you want to pay a little bit more of 18,200 euros, you can get the Polestar Engineered version. What does that mean? Let's check it out. With the Polestar Engineered, you also get a couple of different touches. For instance, this Polestar Engineered logo in the front and also in the back. You also have black roof rails, as well as black window lines and some sporty side mirrors. You also get 21 up to 22-inch rims, as well as these big brakes from Akebono, which are also ventilated discs in the front. Let's see what these big Akebono brakes can do from 100 to 0. We managed to do 34 meters, which is a pretty good value. Obviously, a very good value would be around 32 meters, or 30 meters is insanely good. So 34 is a pretty decent amount. Volvo is obviously known to be one of the safest car makers on the market, if not the safest. You can see on the list how many safety features there are on this car, which is quite a lot. That is why it also got the highest marks on the ADAC crash test, and also in the occupant safety measurement, whatever, I don't know how they do that, it got a 98%, which is really high. But the one thing that stands out the most is the top speed, which is limited to 180 kilometers an hour. Let's check out the design of the XC60 Recharge. There's a pretty cool design in the front. We also have the typical Volvo Thor's Hammer LED lights in there, which are pretty cool. But one thing that's not so cool is that we have an intake in here, which is real. But then, if we go over onto the other side, we actually have a fake vent on here, which is not that nice because it's just not that symmetrical. And one thing that's also not symmetrical, which really screws with me, is that the logo on here is not in a straight or horizontal, which really screws with my head. And you can't actually move it because it's integrated into the grille. We also have the Thunder Grey metallic color, which is really nice. I love that. And then in general, the black designs look really cool in my opinion. We also have keyless go in the back and in the front, which is very nice, as well as tinted out windows in the back, as well as a little fin on the top and a pretty cool spoiler on the back. In the back, again, we have a logo that is not horizontally leveled, which is not nice in my opinion because it just kicks with my ADS. And down here we have fake vents. Well, they're supposed to be like a fake vent thing, but in general, I really like the design of the Volvo in the back with, in general, the lights just look pretty cool. You also get a semi-automatic towing hook as well as an automatic tailgate. You can flip out the towing hook via the button on the side, where you will get, well, it'll pop out and then you have to flip it in position. You can carry 2.25 tons, which is fairly good. And as you'd expect from a plug-in hybrid, you would have a lot of less capacity in the trunk. However, you don't actually have a big lip, which is very nice because the battery is obviously in the center tunnel. You get 483 liters up to 1,410 liters, which is not that big, but it does really do its job, as well as some space in here. But there you just have an insane amount of life vests, and not life vests, what are they called? Safe vests? Warnwesten. So the T8 motor that we have in here produces a total of 455 horsepower. Obviously, because it's the XC60 Recharge, it's a plug-in hybrid. That electric motor is going to produce 145 horsepower with a total of 309 Newton meters. The combustion engine is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, which is not supercharged anymore, but turbocharged. It produces 310 horsepower with a total of 400 Newton meters. So in total 455 horsepower with 709 Newton meters of torque, which is quite a lot. So let's actually do a 0 to 100 test. What we have to do is we go in here, we go into the drive mode and we go into Polestar. Claimed is 4.9, we bought 5.86, so a lot slower. We only had a slope of 0.5, so definitely have to try that again. One thing you also can't do is you can't do a full kickdown and have the brakes fully down, so you just have to press down on the accelerator as hard as you can, so you can't really build any pressure up. Okay, 5.58, 4.9 is claimed. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to say it, we are 2 people with full equipment, but that shouldn't affect the speed that much. We'll do it one more time to see if we can get a better value out of it. If we can't, then, well, that's bad. I don't know, it doesn't have that initial push that you expect, and then you can hear those wheels just screeching as soon as you go around that with 80 kilometers. 5.46, so that was the best value we could get. It just doesn't have that initial kick that you'd expect. 5.4. But the thing about the engine is that it's not exclusive for the Polestar Engineered edition. You can get the exact same motor, so the T8 with 455 horsepower, with a base package of the Plus package, which is just going to cost you 3,000 euros extra. So you're spending around 72,900 euros to actually get the same motor that you have in this car, which costs 94,000 euros. Which in my opinion is something for a Polestar Engineered car that's going to cost you that much extra is kind of sad, considering you get the same motor that you can get in a car that costs around 15,000 euros less. Another Polestar thing is that you get these beautiful golden layered seat belts, which are pretty cool. I like them, and the quality in here is just amazing. Volvo obviously is always known for their quality, and in here everywhere you touch you just have amazing quality. And the other thing that's just breathtaking this thing is the Bauer & Wilkinson sound system, which is honestly the best thing I've ever heard. 1,410 watts, and it's gonna cost you 2,600 something amount of money, which is just amazing. Honestly, if you want to get it, definitely make sure this is the best thing ever. Seats are also very, very comfortable. Obviously leather, you can't choose anything else. If you're not a big fan of leather, you're limited to that. You also have this crystal glass thing in the middle, which is pretty cool, which is your gear selector. And then again, a nice touches in here, black or piano black in here. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but in general, if you take a look at the infotainment system and also the steering wheel, it does seem a little bit outdated. Obviously the car is from 2021, so it is a little bit older, but in general you can't really, the infotainment system is not that great, it's pretty outdated. The digital cockpit, you can't really change anything in there, you don't have different views or anything like that. And the steering wheel for Polestar Engineered edition, I would have really liked to see a different steering wheel. This one is just a little bit boring in my opinion. In the back you also get the wonderful gold seat belts, which I'm a big fan of. You again get the wonderful Bauer & Wilkinson sound system in the back, as well as on the roof in the back, which is very, very nice. You have a pretty good center console or center seat, as well as some cup holders in here, 2 of them, and you can also have a full pass-through way. I'm not going to open that right now because it's actually pretty hard to open, but you can put your skis through there so you can flip it over. In the middle you do have a pretty big center tunnel because of the battery, so this is not the nicest thing for the person that's sitting in the middle. And you also only have 2 USB-Cs in the back here. You don't actually have a climate control in the middle. You have it in the side pillar, and you can't change the temperature on it your own. You also have a sunroof, which is very, very big, but it only opens in the front, which is a very nice sunroof. I actually like that. And in general, seating quality in here, you have a lot of room because it's a pretty big SUV, and also headroom is plenty because of that sunroof as well. So there's plenty of headroom in here. We also have a safety feature in the back where you can lock the rear doors. If you press on that button, you can lock it anywhere, which is another nice safety feature. This is the only way that you can actually adjust the dampers in the car. In the front, we have this beautiful bar from Öhlins, and you can adjust over 50 different levels in here. If you want to adjust it in the back, you actually have to take out the cover. Also, you have to put it on a lift. But the thing about the dampers is that you really can't tell the difference between the highest option and the lowest option. The other thing is you have to change it manually. Is that really worth it? I don't know. You also don't have the option to change it in the back. Well, if you put it on the lift and then you change it manually, you could theoretically do that, but there's nothing on the infotainment display where you can change anything. So is the extra price for that really worth it? I'm not too sure. Like I said, you can't really feel the difference between the modes. The XC60 comes with a 70-liter tank, which has a WLTP claimed range of 5,833 kilometers, which is completely nonsense. It has a fuel consumption of 1.2 liters, but in reality, we'll check that once we're driving. As the XC60 is also a recharge model, it's a plug-in hybrid, and it has an 18.8 kilowatts an hour battery, with the battery being in the center tunnel. You can recharge this at 11 kilowatts an hour, which is going to take you 5 hours to completely charge. You can also charge the battery just by using the combustion engine. So it's completely going to turn off the electrical engine and just charge it via the combustion engine. If you don't want to charge it at home, you can obviously do that, but that's going to obviously increase the fuel consumption. When we're talking about fuel consumption, it's obviously going to vary a lot. We've been driving fairly sporty. We're averaging around 9 liters, but you can definitely get it down. While WLTP claims 1.2, you're not going to be able to get that. You're probably going to get down to around 5, 6, something like that if you really drive normally, or even 4. You could definitely get that as well. But for 5,833 kilometers, no. No. You can obviously drive the car in full electric as well, which is the pure mode. The pure mode allows you to go full electric and has a total range of 78 kilometers if you completely charge it up. You obviously also have a couple of different modes in the car. and they obviously do the input to how much fuel consumption you use. So for instance, we have the hybrid version, which basically uses both the electric engine and also the normal combustion engine, so it just glides it through there. We also have the Polestar mode, which really adapts the driving style, the chassis. We obviously have the dual sense flow technology in here, which is from the Öhlins, which is a very interesting chassis function. So the chassis is very aggressive in here and very sporty, so the ride does feel fairly heavy or fairly sporty for an SUV, which might not be the nicest thing if you're looking for a more luxurious SUV, as this is very, very sporty, the chassis. And then you also have off-road and constant all-wheel drive. You obviously know what those are. So let's talk about a little bit of the sportiness. First of all, the seats are very, very nice. You also have a couple of different options that you can choose in here. You have memory function on the sides, and in general, they're just very, very nice. You don't have cool seats, which would have been nice in my opinion, but other than that, they're very, very nice. When we're talking about sporty feeling, you obviously have the Polestar mode, which does have a good amount of power, and the sound of the engine actually sounds very, very nice. I think most of that is actually fake sound, but it sounds very, very good in my opinion for a 4-cylinder, and if you're on the outside, it doesn't sound too bad as well while you're standing. But Polestar mode really does kick it down, combines the electrical engine and also the combustion engine, which does have a very good center of gravity. With that motor also, with the battery also being in the center, you can actually have a very good feeling around these corners with a very good center of gravity. It does like to screech quite a good amount once you're in the corner, so the wheels do lose a little bit of traction, but they do gain traction quite quickly as well, because you do have that dual valve by Öhlins, which just makes the dampers in the front very, very quickly adjust back to the roads if you lose traction. So it does have a good amount of traction. However, because it's such a big car and 2.1 tons, it does slide around the corners fairly easy. But one thing we can actually do is we can turn off traction control. There's no settings where you can actually turn off traction controls. If you do find a setting, please let us know. But there's nothing where you can change it, which I kind of find a little bit sad. If you're looking to get an XC60, I personally wouldn't recommend you to get the Polestar Engineered, because what I think is basically you get the same motor, you do get a couple of extras like the big brakes, but is it really worth 18,200 euros extra if you can already get the exact same engine for 72,000 euros and it's only limited to 180 kilometers an hour, even though it can do a lot more? Is it really worth it? I don't think so. But in general, it's a very great car, very luxurious. Obviously, it's a little bit outdated, but with a newer facelift soon, it might get a lot nicer. But in the interior, it's amazing. Sound system is amazing. In general, I'm pretty happy with the car. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.